Hey everyone, welcome to book club. We are in Atomic Habits, chapters 11 and 12. Chapter 11 is called Walk Slowly but Never Backward. It is in the new section of the book called The Third Law. And the third law is make it easy. And I was like, I'm here for that, okay? Because our brains really are wired to preserve energy, and our brains really are going to go with the least resistance and the path where we can preserve the most energy. And then chapter 12 is called The Law of Least Effort. And this is really, really enlightening, something that you can apply to your business, whether you're brand new and just starting out, or you're leading and you're doing things like creating systems and, dealing with a lot more people and schedules and things like that. So I just found it to be so applicable across the board. I just want to start off by saying, first of all, I'm Natalie Dolan. If you don't know me, I'm Natalie Dolan, Sapphire brand ambassador. But if you follow me on social media, you have been seeing me rant and rave about this book. And I really just want to say that this book has already been revolutionizing my life. Like, truly has been, like, my life has changed pretty drastically since starting this book. And quality of life has gone way up because of the habits that I have learned to start implementing through this. All the instructions, everything that just kind of clicks when you're, everything just makes sense when you're putting it all together and starting new habits. And so I'm probably going to read it again. So anyways, Chapter 11 is called Walk Slowly but Never Backwards. And it starts off with him talking about the assignment of two photography student groups. One group was just, you only have to take one super high quality, perfect picture, and then that is what's going to get graded. And then the other group was, you have to take as many pictures as possible. Like, the most pictures is the higher your grade is going to be. And so that was quantity versus quality. And the difference was, surprisingly, that the quantity group had the best results, the best pictures, and the quality group, because they didn't get as much practice as the quantity group, they just ended up submitting like mediocre pictures. They just sat around learning and theorizing, but not practicing. And I was just like, whoo, this is so applicable to our businesses. Okay. Like, so applicable. And I have been on both ends of the spectrum here. So he talks about the difference between motion and taking action on page 142. Motion is planning, strategizing, and learning. And action is the type of behavior that produces a result, a real result. Okay. So the motion people, I have seen people crash and burn and fail their business thinking that they are doing so much with their business, but they're actually not. This is what I like to call being a personal growth glutton. Okay. The first time I ever heard that term was like a knife to my heart, because I can slip into personal growth gluttony. Am I reading 6 books right now? Yes, I am. Am I going back and forth through all of them? Yes. And it's something that throughout the years, I have wanted to play it safe and be comfortable. And so I'm just, okay, you know what? I am going to take another course. I'm going to watch another video. I'm going to read another book. I'm going to listen to another podcast. I'm going to write out my plans I'm going to write out my post ideas. I mean, I can look back on notebooks where I have like a full notebook, just like different post ideas. And ideas are not action. Okay. A lot of those ideas didn't turn into anything. Okay. And so just keep that in mind. I have seen people really, I like what he says about preparation can be a form of procrastination. I see this with people who are like getting started in their businesses. Like, yeah, I'm going to just, watch some more videos and I'm learning and whatever, instead of getting into a habit of actually doing the things that move the needle in this business, which is reaching out to people and talking to people. It's like, I want to learn how to talk to people, but I want to be able to watch a video to learn it instead of actually just doing it. And I will tell you that practice, like, you really do need to be practicing. And sometimes as sponsors, even, we want to take the pain of practicing away from people by spoon feeding them, here's the wording, here's the video, here's this, here's that. And we think we're being so supportive, but really we're robbing people of the reps that they need to do. Like you got to keep on doing those reps to build that muscle, right? So you have to formulate your wording and figure out how you talk to people, and you have to, fail forward. You have to, eventually, if you're just beginning your business and you're like, I don't know how to respond to this, or what do you say, or how do you handle this objection? Because I have done it so many times, it's natural for me now, because I've done the reps, right? And so that's just the price, that's the tax you have to pay in order to get to the next level. It's just getting those reps in. And so I loved what he said that. He said, motion allows us to feel like we're making progress without running the risk of failure. I was like, that was a bomb right there on that page. Because how we all naturally want to avoid failure, or avoid the feeling of failure, right? And so it's like, you watch a video and you're all on fire and you feel like you're doing so good by your business, but the best thing you can do is send out some messages and follow up. Honestly, if to boil down what we do, just send some messages, talk to people. If all else fails, if you can, if it's the worst day ever, all you could do is, watch a video or send out a couple messages. Choose sending out a couple messages. Yes, and that's what I put, example of watching training videos over sending messages. Yeah, guys, it's truly just about practice. That's how you get good at all of this. So, okay, so the second, chapter 12, he talks about how the brain is wired to conserve energy, which is, scientifically proven. We want to, that's what our brain just does, wants to conserve energy, seek pleasure, things like that. Because we have very old caveman brains still. So the law of least effort is that people will naturally gravitate toward the option that requires the least amount of work. Okay. And so that's why, as you're getting your systems together, when you're a leader and you're developing systems, a lot of the time we overcomplicate things, but what we need to do is simplify. And that's the systems that people will do are the systems that work. Right. And so that's just for where I'm at. That is, that's where I'm always going back. How can I simplify this? How can we make this easier to do, more approachable? So yeah, we have to make habits convenient and reduce the friction associated with the habits. And I have some examples. So he was giving some examples where I was really connecting it to the habits that I've been forming in my life lately. So when you're reducing friction, it's like you have to connect your habits to things that are making it more convenient. So for example, I drop my kid in the morning. I have to drive my kids to school. So I drive them to school, I drop them off, and on the way back from work, from dropping them off, I stop at the gym and I go get my workout. If one of my kids is sick or they have a day off, my workouts don't happen nearly as often as when I drop them off and then I go and I catch a class afterward and then come back home. It's just convenient. So by incorporating that into my commute, I have reduced the friction of getting to the gym. Then they were talking about how the Japanese became really efficient at making TVs. They called it addition by subtraction. So they reduced the friction, they subtracted friction so that they could get more production, more addition. So an example of this, I thought when I was reading this, I thought about how like 2 days ago, maybe yesterday even, I realized I had this system going here at my desk, which also incorporates into the next thing that he was talking about priming your environment, and how your environment is one of the best ways that you can reduce friction to accomplish more habits. And so here at my desk, I was having this overwhelm where I had sticky notes lining. I have this little shelf like right here, and I had sticky notes lining the whole perimeter of this shelf, like sticky notes throwing up everywhere. I had sticky notes all over my table right here. Like then I ran out of room here. So then they started coming down on the desk. And so then I had this big square of sticky notes, and I suddenly just realized, I was like, wow, this really is not working for me, because I'm sitting down to my desk and I'm feeling very overwhelmed by to-dos, ideas, just reminders, tasks. There was no rhyme or reason to anything. And I felt myself when I would sit down, feeling this, like feeling the resistance. Like I'm immediately overwhelmed as soon as I sit down. I'm feeling stressed immediately. And so I was like, this cannot happen. And also I would be on a call, and then I would be like reading through my sticky notes. So it was also just really big distraction. So what I did was I realized that wasn't working. And I went out and I bought 3 like just single notepads. One for Plexus, one for home, and one for ideas, because I had a ton of sticky notes with just video ideas and whatever. And like, this doesn't overwhelm me, just like a small, like consolidated stack where I can go back to it. But yeah. And so I transferred it all onto these lists, and I like crumpled up this huge pile of sticky notes and I threw them out. And now when I sit down, I feel like refreshed. And so that is how you like prime your environment. And reduce the friction. He talked about ordering grocery. He talked about, other things that we do to order groceries. And it reminded me of things that I do, which is I order HelloFresh. And then by ordering HelloFresh, I've now reduced the friction of buying groceries, figuring out what I'm going to eat, getting all the ingredients together. Like, it just shows up and every single thing is included and with the instructions right there. And then I just make it. I don't have to think about it. It's one of those ways, because that's a big stressor in my life, because I don't enjoy cooking. It's just like not one of those things that I really love. And so I've kind of found a solution for that. I have found a solution for that. And so we can look for ways to do this in all areas of our lives. Yeah. And then what I really loved was how the idea of resetting your room for when you leave for future use, the idea of just resetting every single time, like quickly resetting and keeping your house in order that way, and your environment, and then you get more done, right? And so do you do that, Tova? She said that is a must. You do that already? I was like, this is so smart. These sorts of things don't come natural to me. So these books with these ideas, it's like, that's why it's so life-changing for me. I'm like, wow, I really can do that. I can reset. I've been doing so good the past couple weeks, like keeping my room clean, which is also my office, unfortunately, which is not recommended, but I have a tiny house, so it just is what it is. But you know, I also set out my work clothes the night before, my workout clothes the night before, so that I don't have to think about that in the morning. I just get them on and it's happening, right? It's one step closer towards the goal. And then at nighttime, I want to wake up at 6 a.m. So I set my phone across the room. I no longer have it right next to my bed where I can wake up, I can snooze it, or wake up, grab my phone and scroll and start reacting to messages and what people's needs and social media and all of that. It's across the room. I get up out of my bed, come over here, and I'm up, and I already have everything that I need set up. I grab it, put on my watch, and then I have my Bible and my journal on my couch. We're already set up. Like, I will go and put that in my living room for me to go and just be there and be perfectly set up for in the morning. And so you guys, like, those things are really, really easy, really, really simple to do if you take that intentionality. Yeah. So I haven't been watching the time. I've been going over it because I'm excited. I'm sorry. So I do have some questions here on my phone. 1 second. Okay. So what ways have you used motion, planning, and learning as a way of procrastination to avoid failure? Have you done that? What ways have you done that? Just share your experience.
The one thing I do at work constantly is I walk into work and I like write down everything I want to get done. And I'm very easily distracted. And so we have like an open door policy. And so you're supposed to keep your door open, but I've learned I've had to close it because outside noise distracts me, and any little thing, I will let it distract me because my planner is so overwhelming. So like I try and plan, you know what I mean? Like I do the steps, but until like if there's any other thing going on, like I have to really make an environment, like you said, to like not distract me so that I can get it all done and I can check. And like I love to check things off. I love lists. But it's like as soon as I have like the littlest thing, I'm like, oh, I'm like a dog, you know? So that's one thing that definitely just like I do the right steps. I'm halfway there.
I have definitely struggled with this in the past. Natalie's like, I know, I thought of you the whole time I read it. And I think a lot of the motion activities associated with our business, they are necessary, but you have to be careful, like the priorities that you give them. I would say that's the number one thing. Your IPA is an action, and that needs to come first. So like you can do all the motion things you want it because those feed me, make me feel good. Literally, I know it's my strength. It's like an immediate dopamine hit if I organize my stuff or if I practice or plan, run numbers. Yeah, Courtney. So I would say that if you see that it's one of your weaknesses, it may not necessarily be a weakness, but the priority you're giving it, I would much rather, pretty much whatever you'd rather do first is a red flag. You should do something else first.
So for like me, I definitely have done it, and I still actually do it, where I'm like saving the post and saving the graphics and organizing my notes, and then I'm not reaching out to even use the graphics or using the post that I've saved in my phone. So that's definitely something I have to work on.
I love watching training videos. I will watch them as I'm doing my hair. I'll watch them as I'm doing my makeup or listen to them while I'm in the shower. And I tend to forget to put them into action. So I have been talking in my coaching calls, and like, she's like, well, obviously with Tova, and she's like, well, start taking notes on the videos you're watching, like it's a college course. And that's been way easier to stay intentional instead of like, well, what did she do for this? And then completely jumping to another topic and like, oh, well, they did this, but not fully implementing it ever, just continuous learning instead of actually putting into motion. So that was something that I was like, oh my gosh, like this chapter is written for me, like put into a habit of taking the notes and actually implementing what I'm really learning.
Yeah, super relatable. I have done that my whole business, where it's kind of like that two-edged sword, because I do think that the amount of learning that I've done is like my slight edge, like constantly having new stuff coming in and learning, but then at the same time keeping that in check to like almost like maybe that's a reward, right? Like doing your IPA first, and then after this I'm going to be able to watch take that course, watch that video, pick up on my other book that I'm listening to. And that could be like a habit stack afterward. I do lots of things. Like I plan lots of things after I do my IPA, and then after this, I'm going to go get a fresh juice or whatever. Yeah. Okay. Next question. What's one way you have made your systems more simple so that doing them requires less effort? And if you haven't done it, what's a plan that you have to do it?
Something that I've done is just saving all my wording into my notes. And I've even, because this is like not natural for me at all to save things into my phone. I like to write stuff down, but then, you find yourself out at the grocery store or whatever, and then you have somebody that's like, hey, so-and-so said this. And so for me, because one of the things that take up the most time is when you have new people coming in and you want to be able to share wording or welcome packs or this and that. And so I have started to save everything. And I started to save even like specific examples. And then, up in the heading of my notes, I'll have like whatever it's about, just like a general word. And it has saved me so much time, because if I ever think to myself, oh, I'll save this later into my notes, this message, it was a good message, it never gets done. Like I have learned to immediately copy it, go to my notes, find a place and plug it in, because if not, it doesn't happen. And then it takes me so much longer to retype it or go find, who was I sending that to? And it was such a good message. So that's something that I have done. And, obviously it works for other things than just new business builders or wording and stuff like that. But that is something that has saved me a ton of time. And also it duplicates down. You can have your people save it to them, and then they know how to share it to their people. So it's really made my life great.
So good.
Same with the graphics and with the notes, making them shareable to my new people so that they can see what I'm putting in there. Graphics, albums of just like now with the reset, creating that reset album. So I think that just simplifies the process of engaging with people, and having that wording saved, objection saved, is just so much easier. So thank God for that. Cause like in the beginning of my business, I didn't do that, and so now everything is in my notes. Everything's in my album, all the graphics.
So I recently just discovered this app called Boards. and I am like so jazzed about it because it goes straight to your keyboard. So it's even less friction of having to close out of your, your texting or your keyboard or whatever to go to the notes, which I have all of that in the notes, but this is like, you don't even exit out. It's like right there in your keyboard and you pull it all up. So right now I'm like, transferring the reset system into my boards app so that I can like just super easily. So I'm excited to create even less friction of having to go to the notes. Like it's just already right there. So y'all should look into that, the boards app, because that, and you can share it, and you can share your boards app with people. You can share it with your whole team. So it's super cool. Yeah, boards. Yeah. So
I was going to talk about that too.
Tell us
Boards,
more.
I love it because as much as I love the notes, you have to scroll through, right? And you have to remember, like, how did you title it or whatever, you know what I mean? And I mean, I don't know how many notes you guys have in your phone, but it's kind of sad. Like, I've lost track of organizing it, to be honest. But boards, like, you can really keep things organized. So I really love that. And then the other thing I was going to talk about was Project Broadcast. I really, really like that. It's automated, but what I like about it's your messages that you're creating in there. And you could, like, say you have a bunch of customers that haven't ordered in a long time, but you wanted to tell them about the reset. You just craft one like general message and it sends it to them, and it takes like just a couple of minutes rather than sending a message to each individual person. It's such a time saver, and I like it too for retention a lot. I'm still like, and as the people respond to those messages, you're the one that's responding to them. So those have been two systems that I'm newer at them, but I like them, and I think it's going to help keep me organized, and I think it's going to really help with duplication.
Yes, I'm just getting into Project Broadcast as well. I did that with the reset to like all my customers. And it was effective. It's getting people back, all of that. So I'm like, it's cool to have these like, and which speaks to how our industry is really exploding, because we are having more and more things being developed for us, more things like Project Broadcast and boards, and also Doe's a really good one just for doing IPA. If IPA is a struggle for you or the time, you can do the front work, load all your people in, and then you just pull up Doe and you reach out to the people it tells you to reach out, and it tells you who to follow up with based on what you said it. And so that's a really good way of doing your IPA if that is something that's been a struggle for you.
I use ClickUp for Tova. If you all don't know me, I'm Tova's assistant. Hello. But ClickUp, honestly, that has simplified my life running what I do for her. It's like Doe, it's just a little more in depth, and you can like mind map a bunch of stuff. You can have a bunch of boards and stuff, but Sabrina's even in on it. So she gets alerted whenever her customers are up, and it's a day to check in on them because it's completely automated for our 8-week check-in system. So I just go in and I have a daily report that I send to Tova, and it's so easy. And with Project Broadcast, it's really simplified our perks report reach out too, because we can just shoot a text to the person with the graphic. Hey, this is what we have going on. Yeah, ClickUp is the name. No worries. But yeah, those two systems, and Doe too, if you want a more simplified version of ClickUp, they will simplify your business no matter what.
Hey, can someone put like in the group that like all these different apps? And I don't have an iPhone. Tasha's trying to get me to get one, but if anybody could put those in there, I would love to look these up. I don't have a pen in front of me, so that would be awesome. Yeah, that would be good.
We'll get them to you for sure, Leslie.
You're the best.
Yes. Okay. So what are, hold on. Now that we're getting low on time, let me select the best question. Okay, so just getting back to practice, what do you need to practice more? Like, what is one of those areas that you're focusing on just getting those reps in just to get better at that skill? What are you working on right now?
Something that I'm working on is vision casting. So when I'm on my welcome calls and things like that, I'm casting strong vision and feeling really prepared for the welcome call. But I haven't always been so great at vision casting. But just doing it and then repeating it and doing it over and over and over, I know that I will be getting better. And so I feel so much better about my vision casting now than I did, 2-3 months ago, because I'm actually doing them. So that's one thing that I've been doing.
Right, you're not watching like 10 million videos about vision casting, you're just doing it. Who else?
So something that I have been wanting to work on, this might sound so funny, but when people ask me, what do I do? Or like, and I have found this, like, this has come up a lot since I've moved, right? And it's like, oh, I do Plexus, or I think of like Emily Gibson. She's like, oh, I rock it at network marketing. I just am trying to think. And then I remember Fallon and Jamie talking about back in the day when they were trying to figure systems out and stuff like that. They said Fallon made them come up with like an elevator speech that was like 1 minute long. So if you ran into somebody, you'd have like this good liner thing. And I was like, man, I have to work on this, because I'm always like, oh, well, I work from home. Well, I do Plexus. Do and I'm like, wait, I've got to get my words down. So that is something that really, because you want it to be attractive and come out and kind of, like Nicole said, cast vision in a way too, that I am a stay-at-home mom. I do work from home. I have time freedom, and like, I don't know. So that's something I'm working on, is kind of creating, when somebody asks me, what do I do?
Me too.
Give them good words.
Me too. I feel like I would have had that down by now.
I've lived in the same like house though for so long, and I just like, I don't know. I mean, obviously you meet new people and stuff, but now that I'm here, I've ran into a lot of people and they ask me, and I'm like, whoa, this question's like coming up a lot. I got to get this down.
We need to have a powwow about that.
So I was going to hop in on that actually, because at the salon, I tell people I have 2 businesses. I'm like, oh, I actually have another business. It's gut health. That's literally all I say. And they're like, oh, well, what's that? I'm like, oh, it's called Plexus. Here it is right here. They're like, oh, and this is your business? I'm like, yeah, it's my business. So like, it doesn't have to be hard really. Because if I feel like when I'm telling them, if I talk about it for 20 minutes, they're like, okay, I don't want to know anymore. But if I'm just like, oh, hey, this is cool, this is awesome. Like, oh, what does it do? And I'm just like, oh yeah, when I had all these issues, my friend introduced this to me, and I partnered with her, and now I have my own business. They're just like, oh, cool, I want it. Like, okay, cool. So I feel like the simpler, the better, because if you over explain yourself, they're already disinterested. And like, because they're like, okay, that sounds really complicated, what you just said. Versus like, oh, I want a business too. I'm like, you can have one. Let's make you one. But my thing would be troubleshooting. Like I'm like going deeper with troubleshooting. I'm working on that. So, and I'll still have to text Natalie and be like, did I say, is this too much? Is this going too deep into what's wrong? And she's like, no, that's great. And I'm like, okay, but to me, it feels really deep, or like what they're saying is wrong. And we're going into like anxiety issues. And I'm like, man, I just thought your stomach was upset. But it's not. It's literally like their stomach is upset because of their anxiety. And then where I'm like, well, what's triggering it? And then we're going into really personal issues. I'm like, wow, okay, this is a lot more than I was thinking we were going to talk about. But it is important, because then you really get down to like why they have this mindset block. And I'm like, oh, okay. And once we get through that, then they're so open to like everything else you have to suggest. So troubleshooting is definitely one I'm working on going deeper on.
Yeah, I feel like we all hit that point in our business where it's like, okay, I have a lot of customers and now I have to I have to sharpen my retaining my troubleshooting skills now. That's like one of those things. Anyone else? What are y'all working on right now?
One of the things Kristen is helping me work on is just my wording. And it's like the little things. Like I've reached out to somebody and I was like, hey, like, how's Plexus going? Like, do you want to change anything? And she was like, don't say, do you want to change anything? Say, hey, do you want to change a flavor? Ask like if they're sleeping better, kind of exactly what Sabrina was talking about in Monday night's call. And like, instead of asking if they want to change it, you could suggest it, but like suggest it in a certain way where it's like you're giving it a more positive effect to it. So it's not there's something wrong and you have to change it. It's how can we make it better, essentially.
I'm working on people that are already on products, and I have quite a few that have a lot of perk points, and I can't, they're taking their products apparently, or they're getting them and stacking it up somewhere because I can't get them to respond back. And so I'm working on bringing them out a little bit. You know, I want to kind of reach through the phone and kind of smack them and say, look here, you're sitting on 1,500 perk points. What can, you know, and that's something that's difficult for me. So many people that I've already got them on, but then I can't get them to use their perk points, or I can't get them to talk to me or make a post. So I'm working on that.
All right. I am working on asking the deep questions, like going deep. Like I feel like people are opening up to me and they're talking to me, but I can't get that like past that surface layer to like really figure out, okay, it's more than just weight loss, right? Like what is it? What those pain point type things. So just trying to figure out like those questions to pull those teeth, because I'm like, I think this is great and I love it, but how can we go deeper? Like I know that there's something else there, and just trying to figure out how to ask those questions to get people to open up a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. Learning to ask the right questions is a big part of what we do. It's because it's, you know, it's so much question asking. So learning what is the right question, and you'll be able to start to see what people mean and ask the right question based on their initial response. You know, you'll be able to pick it out just through all of that practice. Anyone else? I have more questions, but I won't ask them because we're already over. Anyone else?
Hey.
Hey.
So one of the things, and I'm sure a lot of people do this, but I tend to get stuck in the, let me message them, follow up. You know, it's convenient, you know, to text or message. And I signed up someone recently and they weren't responding. They were responding enough, but then it was like, okay, I'm just going to call her and I'm just going to see what it is that she needs for me to clarify. So I gave her a call today. She answered, and then I was able to fix some objections she had because she accidentally got the wrong slim, and she was worried about losing weight because she doesn't need to. And so we talked about some things, and she goes, "Oh, well, I can do this and this," and she wanted to add on active. And so it was just like I just needed to give her that call, make that time, even though it's easy to send the text and just have them respond. And it just, I was like, wow, like I just need to do more calling to people when they don't respond to me, because sometimes people see it and they don't respond back. So that was like a really big thing today. I'm like, okay, I just need to start calling people more often.
You have always been so good at calling people though. Like just up and calling people. It will be like the end. It'll be like, you need one more join for the month, and you'll just like start calling people. I've always been so like, whoa, the boldness. Because that's hard for most people to just be like, hey, this girl was interested in buying Plexus. Hey, are you still interested? Like, that is boldness that I would like to bottle that up, because like, that's probably not something I would do, but it works. Because sometimes if you can't get somebody to respond, you just need to up and call them, you know? So you got to channel that and like be hungry enough to really want, and then it renews your connection. You know, when you like talk to somebody again for the first time in a long time, it's like, oh, suddenly we're connected again. And then the trust is built, and it's like more excitement. It's like a domino effect. So good for you, man. I need to do that.
That is true about the trust. That is true, because she, all of a sudden, when I explained to her the difference between Slim, she was like, oh, okay. Like, it was like, she seemed really nervous about the weight loss one. Like, oh, you think it's okay for me to take, even though I'm not trying to lose weight. So she did. She like had trust in me saying like, hey, this is actually what this is. So.
It's so good. It's so good. All right, guys. Well, we'll shut it down. We're over. I went over. Tiffany.
You got good eye, girl. No, I was just going to mention in there, through the years, something I've seen just more of is it's so common, but just when we're present and in the moment and engaged, and we're, on book club or Monday call, and you're taking the notes, or you're, unmuting and speaking up and being brave and bold and getting out of your comfort zone. That's such a struggle for so many people, yet it's the beginning of so many great things in your business and leadership. So I just wanted to add that in there quick. And I loved all the suggestions from everyone, the pain points. It's all true and relevant, and places for everyone to grow. So let y'all get going.
I love it. Yeah. And then even in this, what we're practicing is unmuting and talking and being brave. Like, that in itself is something that you're practicing, getting those reps in. So proud of you guys. We will end it there. Love y'all so much, and see you guys next week.